the bottom left side with a blue Protoss player fighting for Berserker Esports. It is ForJumy.
And the top right, playing for Psy Storm Gaming. Early probe going out on the map. We'll see if that's just to harass, or maybe there's some funky plans in the works for this man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Gerald.
Trying to get a good look at the low. I guess we don't get it right now. That's alright. That's alright. It's just a lovely team, that's all.
Yeah,
they all lost. You know, the ones that paid their players. They're all fantastic teams.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure all of these are. You know, I have no idea. I've heard stories from the past. I don't know about the recent ones. They are not told to me.
Yeah, that's completely fair. But yeah, obviously Psy Storm Gaming and Berserker, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yep.
I mean, love this here from Gerald. He's going for the gas steal. He says, listen, you're not going to get out the units that you want. Sees, of course, the double gateway coming up here for ForJumy. Gerald will get his own, but in, I'd say, much nicer timing. Obviously, the Cybernetics core will come down not that much later. But denying the gas just means that ForJumy is not going to have that tech available as fast, such as the Stargate, Robotics Facility, or Twilight Council. Usually in PvP, especially on a map like Inside and Out, where you have this ramp going up to the natural, I think you usually expect to see the Stargate.
Yeah, it's just rough to get anything working on the, on that ramp, like you said. Maybe you can try to deny a third base later down the line. We do see some players go for that occasionally. Going to keep our eyes peeled right now.
Gerald does have that's a really late Cybercore. I'm not wrong, right? That's a really late Cybercore.
Yeah, well, he did go double gates here. He's not producing anything out of the double gates, which makes me wonder whether he just kind of forgot about the Cybercore here.
Yeah. I mean, it is finishing up, and of course, Gerald can then add on a Nexus, but that does just feel like a mistake there, because there's so much extra money here for the Protoss. He is going to get that Nexus up in good time, around the 250 mark. Shield battery as well in that main base, just to make sure that if an Oracle doesn't come across the map, you'll have that shield regeneration to stop the Pulsar beam from providing that much damage.
I have a theory about the double gateway here, because there is the hidden pylon for ForJumy, right? So maybe Gerald just kind of misinterpreted, wanted to be safe just in case they get 2 zealots at a time, in case it's like a weird proxy play or something like that. So maybe it was just that to be safe, one of those plays. And then he realized, oh, okay, you're not doing this, okay, so I don't have to do this, but at least, if it was, I would have been ready.
Oh yeah, no, that is probably correct. I didn't notice the hidden pylon there at the bottom of the natural, but any good Protoss player will see if there's only one pylon in the main and say, all right, gas steal, I need to stop you from getting tech up, and then just plays defensive. So that seems to have been the case. Blink on the way now for Gerald, natural base on the way for both players. ForJumy does have quite a bit of an advantage there on that timing. Gerald was still being quite safe with his shield batteries. He got his both shield batteries up before the Nexus even started, even having to add on these wall offs. Says, ooh, nice catch here onto the Adepts is going to be able to get both of them, I think. Yeah. And so that means that no longer will those Adepts be a threat. ForJumy is going to have to stick back in the base, use these hallucinations, to scout out, as Gerald is getting up into the robotics facility quite quickly.
There it is. Yep, with the blink ready to accompany it. Little scout with the adapts here and there, but nothing too significant happened this game so far, I would say. Oh, I guess the 5 worker difference is actually, it's bigger than I thought it would be. It's now a 6 worker difference.
Yeah, no, the earlier Nexus for ForJumy is coming through quite nicely here. Currently at 8 Stalkers, as well as ahead in that count as well. So it is just a supply lead overall for the blue Protoss. Even adding on this proxy gateway for quicker warp-ins I mean, ForJumy, he's going to get aggressive here, but he's also has a third base coming on the way. And so, I mean, I think so far this has just been Gerald got really psyched out there at the beginning of the game, expecting aggression. It didn't come in, and that's actually put him, I mean, very, very far behind.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well recently, that most players just kind of do the one base super aggression right now, but neither of these players really did that, so... I don't know if you know, the player telling me this was being hyperbolic. Well,
I mean, who'd you hear it from?
This was Max as well. This was during that conversation with the about the, you know, his disappointments.
Yeah.
From yesterday.
I mean, I feel like Max is a pretty good gauge of PvP. You know, that was kind of the big matchup for him as Gerald taking this fight, but he is just down in Starker count, so I think Backsap's come through. He's not really going to be able to keep going with that engagement as more weapons coming through for ForJumy. His own robotics facility will be finishing out fairly shortly, so that advantage in, you know, this immortal count is not really going to do that much. Yeah, whoa.
I need to double check. It may have been 2 base all-in, actually. Probably. Right?
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yes, that does. But Dark Shrine on the way for Gerald. So he's realized, listen, I'm very far behind right now. I need something here to get me back in this game. He's going to attempt to take a third base here. This location, the Stalkers are just, check it, but they don't actually go far enough to kill that probe. As a Stalker counterattack for Gerald. Oh, Shield Battery Overcharge does not manage to save the Immortal. And ForJumy, he's just blinking on in. Shield Battery is now going to go down. Where are the Warpins? There's no additional Immortals. They weren't in production. The third base goes down for ForJumy, but he's up 22 probes. I mean, he's happy. He's fine with that. There's absolutely no issue with him losing that third base. Gerald is now going to try and dive up into the natural, though, and this is where it can start to get a bit sketchy. He's going to one-shot the Stalkers, gets rid of the Sentry, and now the other Stalker is going to go down, as it is essentially a base trade here. The army counts are actually even right now, and Immortal is getting chrono boosted out here for Gerald. ForJumy also is getting his own Immortal. The probe count is still so low for Gerald, though. The Immortal is out. The shield battery goes down, but you still have this Immortal. You have the Hardened Shell that's going to be able to come through. As the Stalkers have committed so far up for both players, Gerald's supply, though, is the one that is dropping so heavily.
Right, just switch up here in a moment, as there are Stalkers for ForJumy here. Also in a bit of trouble, but there he goes again.
Oh, the focus fire.
Really good focus fire, takes it down. The Stalkers of Gerald as well on the other side, seemingly being devastated right now. As ForJumy still sitting comfortably on that 2 base with 43 workers versus now the 10 of Gerald.
Yeah, and that's the big story right now, is that Gerald has lost so many workers in this engagement. ForJumy pulled the workers away from his third, pulled them all into the main, split them up, and yeah, Gerald's just going to GG out ForJumy. Great play in game number 1, and kind of just lets Gerald psych himself out and put himself behind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, right? But well played there by ForJumy. A small little detail in his play, just hiding that second pylon there. Didn't get scouted in time. And, well, boom goes the dynamite. He's got himself a victory right there. That's the 5D chess that these players have to play, like the referee C mentions here for us. That was funny how he called it.
Yeah, no, it is... there are mind games. There are things you have to read into. There's a lot. But map 2 is going to be Data C. It's going to be a bit of a bigger map. We'll see. I mean, I think the problem was there for Gerald. Not only did he overreact, but I do think he forgot that Cyber Core. Even with that reaction, I think that Cyber Core was just late, and then that put the rest of his build so far behind schedule.
Yeah. Okay, ForJumy requesting a short break. It's just a couple of seconds. We're going to give him that.
Yeah, obviously, if Gerald does end up losing this series, 2-0, then he's going to be tied up with ForJumy in terms of map score and series score. And so that would be, I mean, a great win here for the German Protoss. And for Gerald, I think probably a bit of a letdown, especially after getting that Swift 2 over King Cobra. On day 1 of this group. That's the momentum. He wants to carry that momentum forward, and just if that gets shut down, then suddenly I feel like this group is going to be blown wide open. Whereas, of course, if Gerald, and Shadone win their next 2 series, and then Showtime and Serral, whoever wins that, it would be a lot harder for those players who lost 2 right off the bat to kind of climb back into those standings.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like you said, if Gerald does lose this, the group is a lot more open, and it would be a lot more interesting to keep tabs on the progression there, right? Because a lot of players could still be shifting around there. I guess Showtime and Serral, they're pretty guaranteed, but the rest of them, I don't know, man. And with the PvP, actually, I don't even think Showtime is guaranteed there. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fair. I mean, right now his 1 win is against Bly, which I think a lot of people expected. And, of course, he could absolutely take that PvZ against Serral, but Serral's form has been, world class. Like, the best lately. But it's a really interesting group, and this match has a lot of implications for how close in might be. But we're into map number 2. It is Data C, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right on into it in the bottom left-hand corner. He is, of course, going to be your blue Protoss hailing from Germany. Berserker Esports. It's ForJumy.
And his opponent right now with a bit of a problem situation. He has to get himself 2 victories here. Spawning in the top right side in the red color. Also a Protoss player. Fighting for Sidestorm Gaming, it is Gerald.
Alright. I think the main game plan here for Gerald is probably don't miss the Cybercore. Pretty big one. Again, just going to go back to that because that was really, I think, the root of all issues in that game number 1. We're going to see Gerald, again, go for this early scout, whereas ForJumy kind of just scouts for the proxies and might actually hide a pylon over here at the bottom. Just places it in his main, I think. No? He isn't showing that pylon position just yet. So we'll see if that is going to be a hidden pylon to try and psych out Gerald once again. Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, I just love this. This is the mind games, as you're talking about, that 5D chess. If, ForJumy, he's just putting that thought into the back of Gerald's head, is he actually cheesing me? Is there something going on here that I'm not seeing?
It really muddies the waters, doesn't it? And it just makes you uncomfortable, and Gerald can be a bit of an emotional player from time to time, so, these tricks sometimes work better on emotional players.
That's Gerald. 2 Stalkers on the way. Warp Gate should be coming through for both players as well. And so everything's standard so far. That probe's still scouting out around the main base looking for information. Doesn't see the 3rd pylon pop down, but does create a pylon wall of its own just to be able to get that information on what units are coming out of those warp gates or the gateways. And also just to, make the Stalkers fire at it. It's just going to delay them a little bit. And so, Gerald, look at the information. Hey, it's 2 Stalkers. Let's the pylon. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say.
Yeah,
does cancel it. But does cancel it. So, has the information that it's Stalkers. Is scouting around so thoroughly right now. Look at this scouting from Gerald. He knows that pylon is somewhere, and he wants to know what's going on. And I don't know if he's going to actually find it. And that might be a situation where it either makes this better, where Gerald's like, oh, it's just on his side of the map and hidden. Oh, no, he does see it. There we go.
There
okay.
You think at any point he was just being like, I guess he just never made a 2nd pylon. I guess this is just what happened.
He actually just put the 2nd pylon off the map. He warped it in on, the spaceship that ForJumy is playing from, obviously commanding his troops. But Gerald does get information on that. There's no cheese here. There's nothing crazy. Ooh, I like the Stalker positioning here. Just dodges out of the vision. He's going to be able to try and dive onto these Adepts. Should get at least 1, if not 2, actually, with this positioning, driving them back into the corner. And Gerald, this is a much cleaner start to the game. Oh, he doesn't get it. Oh, he doesn't get it. The Adept's going to scout out. That's great.
The probes are here. Come on, probes.
I mean,
fight in time. He's got the shield battery as well. The 1 Adapt shouldn't be too bothersome, unless if he, doesn't pull them away in time. But he's doing a good job with it so far.
Yeah, and I mean, mind you, just the scouting this Adept is getting, and the fact that, oh, Gerald, no, he misclicked the probes. Oh, okay. He catches it, but that was nearly disastrous for Gerald. The fact that he already pulled probes and then misclicks them, again, it's a mirror matchup. Those little things. they can matter so much, and the fact that Adept actually got that much value in delayed mining time is worth it in and among itself. As Gerald puts down the robotics facility, knows that the blink was scouted, and it's going to be the immediate Dark Shrine for ForJumy.
Dark Jumy.
For Dark Jumy.
There he goes. He's transformed. His final form is coming into vision right now.
He's reached his evil form.
Yeah. Oh no, he cancels it. Never mind.
Oh?
He's changed his mind.
I mean, I think the Dark Shrine is a bit of an aggressive choice there, especially in a game where you're pretty much even with your opponent. Both of your naturals are on time, so I think ForJumy just didn't want to risk it. Instead, going to place down this proxy gateway so he can get a bit more aggression going with his Blink Stalkers. I think the real question is here, there's no robotics facility, so you need that proxy for the warp-ins, but is there going to be any additional tech behind this? Is it just going to be the 3-gate? And it's kind of what it's feeling like right now. It's pro production behind it. A third base will be taken. But light 3-gate Blink Stalker pressure here. We'll see how much damage it actually gets done because, I mean, mind you, yeah, Gerald, he already has, I mean, his robotics facility. He's actually really ready for this.
Yeah, he just kind of jumps in there. And I don't know if he knew that Warp Prism was fake or not, but, I mean, that could have been troublesome. He didn't get a scout on the... He didn't see the Dark Shrine, right? When it was building? I'm pretty sure he didn't. Did he?
I don't think so.
Because if he had, then he would have had another scout going later down the line. No, I don't think he had, so...
Yeah, that was just good positioning for Gerald.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe ForJumy thought that it did get scouted because his movements kind of felt like... You know, with that Warp Prism, if you think that Gerald is expecting DTs, if you see that Warp Prism, you're going to overreact to it, right? Send a lot of those targets to the other side. Even if you think that could be Dark Templars in there, but I don't know.
Yeah, certainly interesting is Gerald is actually going to place down Dark Shrine of his own now. With a Forge on the way, third bases for both players.
He'll cancel it later. This is just to make ForJumy think he's
It's just for the additional mind games.
Yes.
As the robotics facility is on its way. And yeah, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty standard game. This is nothing crazy. 3 bases coming up. Everyone playing as they would, and I was looking at the delay on the stream. I don't think it was scouted. I think that was just ForJumy bailing out of that Dark Shrine plan and then opting for the 3-gate. But I mean, it does also mean, hey, he's got these warp-ins. The gateway was killed, actually, or did he? Wait, I'm so confused. Anyway, I was gonna say, did he cancel the proxy gateway? And he actually might have because his the attack was found out. But 3 more gateways on the way now for ForJumy. Charge +1. 4 gateways actually. Oh, this is an interesting divergence for both players. Now, kind of the 2 trains of thoughts with PvP, of course, are Blink Stalkers and Disruptors, which it seems to be the way that Gerald is going right now. +1 robotics support bay on the way. Kind of lends itself towards the fact that you're going to get into those Disruptors. You have the Blink Stalkers to kite as well. The other train of thought is, well, charge lots. And that kind of ground pound Protoss army that you can get. ForJumy is going to be focused on that. A lot more gateways coming out sooner. He'll have his charge up. The robotics bay is still coming through, so you can add on those Disruptors later. But it's not going to be the main focus of the power of his army in this mid-game as this 4th Nexus is coming down.
Dark Templars about to strike. A couple of Adepts there to draw away the attention as the Dark Templars gain more ground. Observers are rather close, but it seems like, oh dear, there's a cannon.
Cannons.
Is there a cannon here as well? No, there's not. So free range for that Dark Templar. It's going to go in. Goes to work on the pylon first and foremost. And the Stalkers hitting the 4th Nexus. Look at that. Nice force cancel.
Yep. And the Observer was brought over to deal with that DT. A nice depower, though, on 3 of these warp gates by Gerald and ForJumy. Not replacing that pylon just yet. I mean, I actually don't know how long it's going to take ForJumy to realize that. Because, I mean, you don't often just look to see, oh, did this Dark Templar depower a gateway? But that's what's happening, so you're not going to have those warp-ins, and that's something that could come into play. I mean, very much so later on, especially when you're looking at these gateway counts. I mean, it's 8 gateways to 6. That's a massive advantage for ForJumy if he had those 3. Finally, a pylon's going to be placed down, but it feels like the pushing power there really kind of stunted for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm wondering how quickly Gerald is going to go in here with the disruptors. Overall, he already has one of them. Disruptor for ForJumy as well available, but still across the map on his own side for the potential counter aggression here.
Yeah, we're going to see Zealot's warped on in +2 on the way for both players. A second robotics facility does mean that ForJumy will get that double disruptor production out a lot sooner. And of course, that can play a very big, that can have a very big impact later on in the game. 2 observers for now for map vision, as these players are just kind of getting everything set up. They're starting, you know, it's 4 bases. They're getting ready for what's going to be this mid-game PvP. And so you need all these tools. And ForJumy, I don't know, it feels like he just kind of has these slight edges in these timings. Because look at this, he's already working on his +1 air. He's going to get those dark shrines that you can add on Immortals, or Archons, and you can, of course, use them for backstabs later with the charge lots, those Dark Templar charge lot backstabs. But he's going to have that air weapon, so when the eventual Skytoss transition comes out, if this game does go hyper late, he's also going to have the slight lead in that.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to be careful, just like ZVZ in a way, right? As you were describing, allocating funds. Sometimes in PvP it can be a similar situation. If you try to get that transition ready too early, your opponent may have just barely enough units to just walk across the map and crack in your army. So you got to be careful about that. But army supply is pretty darn similar right now. Actually, ForJumy still ahead, even with getting those extra things. So, well done to him.
Yeah. Good drive.
He's lost small units as well overall, so that's even more impressive then.
Yeah, no, this army for ForJumy that he has assembled is, I mean, quite dangerous. Split, though, it's not the best, as Blink in there from Gerald. But we saw that Stargate is already up. No fleet beacon just yet. It's just a single Stargate. And as I say it, ForJumy adds on the fleet beacon, so he's going to, again, be getting those options right. I think, that Blink forward! Right.
Oh, that is rough, man. That is so rough.
Gerald. Yeah, had his disruptors separated from his army. I mean, that's not something that should happen. And now suddenly it's 5 disruptors to 2. There's not really a lot of defensive power anymore here for Gerald. A nice disruptor hit, though, as, that disruptor getting blinked on top of. They're getting focused down. As the shield battery overcharge getting so much value here. The stalkers, though, get blown up. Not able to kill that disruptor in time. Another one's going to get sniped for ForJumy. I mean, he commits into a shield battery overcharge. He commits into the disruptors, and they're one of the strongest defensive tools. As Gerald is able to hold on, these zealots gonna have to retreat. +2 air opens on the way, though, and ForJumy, I mean, again, the Stargate's nice, but it feels like the Stargate, you're not really gonna be able to do anything with it because you just pulled the trigger on the offense. So now he needs to remake his disruptors, rebuild his army here.
+2's done for. Gotta make sure those disruptors are steer cleared away from whenever they do try to unload their payload. But overall there, I mean, Gerald's still alive, still trading out all right, still keeping up with his bases here. I mean, even with losing those disruptors, he managed to hold on and still be in a very similar boat. They have the same disruptors now. Gerald ahead on the Stalker count, actually.
Yeah, but look at that. Look at the production tab goes in. Carriers are on the way.
That's a bit
I mean, it's already 3 Stargates here for ForJumy. For ForJumy. With the fleet beacon, so he's just going to have that quicker carrier production. He's going to have that additional carrier production. He's going to have it, I mean, with +2. Whereas Gerald right now, I mean, Resonating Glaives, sure, you can go for adept counterattacks, but he doesn't have any air toss upgrades. You're also seeing that, Shadow Stride, there we go, coming through for the Dark Templar. Just means that, hey, you know, these counterattacks that ForJumy was attempting with Zealots and Dark Templar, they're going to be that much more dangerous. As, look at this positioning for ForJumy. He's trying to dive on in. It's a bit dangerous, though, the blink back from the Disruption Nova. And Gerald is able to stay safe for now, but behind this, there is a carrier army building up. Well, again, Gerald with these disruptors. This time he catches it, but ForJumy not looking at his own. He's going to end up losing 3 of them now. And he just has to get out of dodge with his army.
Man, it just makes me curl up my toes every time I see these types of armies going up against one another. Nice recall there, trying to make his way back onto that ramp and manages to get himself in between Gerald's army and his own base. So well done there.
Look how many zealots there are. I mean, yeah, behind this ForJumy warping 19 zealots. Oh, the disruptors!
What? Oh no.
Oh my, ForJumy evening out that trade. Was one of his own again. The carriers, did Gerald see them? I don't know if he did actually, but Tempests are in production here for Gerald, so I think he's realized, listen, carriers are already on the map. I just need something to counter those.
Yep.
But it's maxed out, so he can't really build an air army, whereas ForJumy right now is looking to go up to 6 carriers because he's been quite, you know, he's been kind of, these disruption novas are so massive for Gerald. Another one. Just gets so much of this ground army, but again, it's opening up space for now what's going to be +2 carriers. And these are not easy units to deal with what Gerald has right now.
For sure. I mean, Gerald might be able to kind of utilize that mobility that his army still has, right? ForJumy is pretty spread out with his army. There are definitely openings here you could try to abuse with those Blink Stalkers, or perhaps even Blink Dark Templars if he does want to try and get the Blink upgrade for those as well. ForJumy actually trying some of those strategies himself here.
6 carriers out on the map, though, 7th in production. Shields on the way is, of course, going to benefit the air and ground units. And look at this. ForJumy actually finding a timing where Gerald is just not home. Ship Battery Overcharge gets placed down, and actually the Blue Protoss is going to just back up. I think he realizes, wait, where is this army? I don't want to get sandwiched. I don't want to get stuck in a position where, you know, I'm going to get stuck in this base with an army enclosing me in. And Gerald tried to pounce on that, couldn't quite do so, but is now going to swing up to this base. And I mean, much less many US cannons available here for ForJumy. Yeah, just gonna have to try and find this surround. He's looking for his positioning, and I mean, he has the charge lots here, but I think Gerald can retreat in time. A recall that's only on half the army, though. Gerald just gonna blink away the stalkers, but this base is going to go down. No more Rich Vespine Geyser for Gerald. ForJumy is just gonna come through and clean that up.
Didn't move away very far with those units either. The recall pretty close with the Nexus. Ooh, that's a good disruptor shot there for Gerald. Is he gonna manage another one here? I'm not quite sure. Not with the one disruptor that is available there. Another one is coming in. It's taking a good while to get rid of the static defenses, though.
Yeah, and it's getting a little bit chaotic because there's so many Dark Templar there available for Gerald, and there was no detection for ForJumy. It finally brings an observer over, but he's got sniped by the cannons before that. As now the carrier trying to push forward, blink forward onto the Tempest. The Dark Templars weren't in position to blink forward, but the Dark Templars go down to that disruption nova. And ForJumy, he's looking to get the 2-0. He's looking to close out this game. Look at Gerald's supply dropping. I mean, it's a massive bank though. For Gerald, 6,000 minerals, 1,800 gas. His army, of course, has been a lot cheaper to maintain. It hasn't been carriers. You know, ForJumy is investing a lot in this air army right now, currently 8 carriers. So if ForJumy loses a fight, then this game, I think Gerald can take it. But right now, the army supply is just so in favor of the Blue Protoss. Disruption Nova is going to try and snipe off of those Archons. The Tempests are going down. And Gerald, he just has to hold on. He has to try and chip away at this army, but I don't know if he's going to be able to.
Yeah, he's really trying to hang on here, pinching to the edge of a cliff with his finger thumb just hanging on. Oof, man. These carriers, like, what is the solution to these carriers at this point in time? I'm seeing the Archons, but it's going to be a while before he has all those interceptors taken care of. ForJumy behind this, look at this. He's taking up so much control now of the map. He's just... Okay, for a moment I thought he was even building shield batteries already on this Nexus that was being warped in for Gerald. It's not that crazy just quite yet, but it's close. It's quite close.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you gotta consider these upgrades. ForJumy, he got so far ahead early on, +3 air weapons. These are +3 carriers. Like, you just don't fight that well as Disruption Nova's going out. They catch the Disruptors of ForJumy. But, I mean, it's only 2 of them that go down. The army supply is still heavily in favor of the Blue Protoss. Actually, not heavily. Gerald's worker count has dropped quite drastically, and so He has made up for that in army, but now you're looking at what, +1 ship plating, +2 shields coming through. Like this upgrade discrepancy is just, I mean, it's killing Gerald right now. There's no way his army can fight against ForJumy straight up because his units are just, they have less quality.
Yeah, for sure. He's trying to make some plays work with small counterattacks, DTs coming in, but...
Oh, the blink forward!
Put a ship down. Couple of disruptors hitting the army for ForJumy, but it just doesn't seem to dent it that much, right? Mostly because, well, a lot of it is up in the sky and invulnerable to those disruptors.
9 carriers. Oh
yeah.
my. It is
more as well coming in pretty soon.
Yeah, this is the Golden Armada being amassed here for ForJumy. And again, Gerald, that massive bank that he had, it doesn't really matter because he's been bleeding out so many units. And he's been able to catch up in the army supply. Has, I mean, a lot of Tempests, 7 Tempests. Again, if you're able to focus fire these, they can just take down those carriers. They can almost one-shot them, but they only have +1 ship weapons. So as soon as it comes to the straight-up fight, as soon as the carriers are dived on, and like, you know, as soon as this fight happens and these stalkers, they try and blink forward, it gets very, very scary. ForJumy has to back up. Is gonna start to add on Tempests of his own though, and you know, once he gets, once he gets his own Tempests, again, he has the +3 for his ship weapons. His Tempests are just going to do so much more damage.
Yeah, for sure. Ah, man, it's just dire straits. I think Gerald, he's just gonna be able to make one more army out of 200 to supply here, and well, he might be able to get like 1 or 2 more warpins in as reinforcements, but what else really is he going to be able to achieve here? He's going to try to gather himself up another base that might buy him some more time. But already these disruptors of ForJumy are zoning away such a big portion of Gerald's army that he just can't attack this army with just Tempest, right? He needs the Stalkers there.
10 carriers now for ForJumy. He is looking to even up this group to blast it wide open in this PvP, and he's saying, listen, I know I don't have the most impressive record online right now, but his PvP is certainly something not to be trifled with. As I mean, this positioning is just immaculate. Gerald can't really find an opening, and now that Tempests are being added on, it's just gonna make it that much harder because you suddenly have that counter artillery unit for ForJumy with better upgrades. Disruptors moving forward, gonna force the blink back. And Gerald right now is just getting choked out. He's trying to add on a 5th or a 6th once again, but
And another thing to consider with these Tempests for ForJumy, look at that, it just happened. The Oracle for Gerald, right? That's how you kind of get your Tempest to get as much efficient as possible, because they're able to see and then shoot as far as they can. But if there's Tempest of your opponent then that shoot just as far as your own Tempest, how are you ever going to get that Oracle vision there, or get it there without losing the Oracle over and over again? It becomes very costly to try and utilize this Tempest play in this fashion,
Yeah, and ForJumy is swinging over to this base. Shield battery overcharge is going to go down, but it can get sieged by these Tempests. Doesn't want to commit on in though. It's a defensive line, but in the retreat, that base is going to be found. No 6th for Gerald once again. He's just going to swing across the map, try and place it up in the top left. Just try and get anything really that he can right now. ForJumy is working off 7 bases. There is a massive economy for this Protoss player as the blink forward comes through, and Gerald gets caught a little bit out of position.
All the stuff going up in the sky. ForJumy losing a bit more supply there overall, I suppose, but not a tremendous amount.
I mean, Tempests are trying here. Finally get a good volley there. And, I mean, it's a lot of Tempests. When you have 12 Tempests.
There we go. He's one-shotting the carriers now.
You don't really actually need upgrades if you have 12 Tempests. Turns out, they do a lot of damage against massive units. And so, we see the carriers go down. We see the Tempests go down. ForJumy is just going to have to retreat, but they can get chased down. I mean, yeah, look at these Tempests. They are just shredding through this army at this point. Gerald finding an answer.
Well, Gerald's, forcing his opponent into those Tempests now as well. It looks like that is pretty fun to see. Man, that started turning around so rapidly. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, wait a moment, I've reached this critical mass. And then he just he started just gunning for those carriers. It's like, bloop, 1 dead, bloop, 2 dead, you know? Pretty darn cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, ForJumy now, we're kind of reassessing what he has to work with right now. And behind this, Gerald is getting his own +3 ship weapons. So for ForJumy, you know, how long can you wait? Right now you have this massive bank. He knows that Gerald has been base starved. You know, you need to try and find trades because, mind you, you're going to be able to rebuild much faster than your opponent. But he also has to be careful because that Tempest count just absolutely shreds through whatever ForJumy has in the air. And unless he's able to build up his own Tempest count, he's not going to be able to fight against it.
Yep. Yep. Or he really has to just go for it, right? He has to, like, find some sort of a speed boost somewhere in his army and then just keep running forwards. He cannot afford a jitter-jatter kind of, yeah, not really certain where he wants to go, right? He needs to be super committed to his movements here.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, the upgrade lead, it's still there. Of course, it doesn't matter. Oh, look at this! Mothership into the main! Strategic recall used is now suddenly this entire army is going to start to knock down the production of Gerald, who's just going to go for a base race. And mind you, there is 6,000 minerals in the bank, 5,000 gas for ForJumy. He has so much money to rebuild Gerald, though. The quality of his army, these Tempests, has so many of them available to him. His army supply is higher than his opponent's. He's played the waiting game, and he's played it so well. And now it's just all down to a question of, you know, can ForJumy find that engagement where he's able to get on top of those Tempests, where he's able to knock them down before they just shred through his carriers?
Yeah, exactly. Trying to play the long game here. It's nice for ForJumy, actually, that now he's kind of forcing the Tempest towards him already. So that's a big portion of the map that he can't be kited away from. That being said, Gerald's positioning them wisely here towards the left side of this army, so he can go towards the west, right, to try and kite as long and as much as he needs to. Still, the DPS of these carriers really helping out in these types of situations, but they just take care of building so quickly with their DPS.
Oh my god, these Tempests, they're just dragging ForJumy into a corner. The Revelation's coming through. This is so dangerous as the Stalkers blink forward, but they can't get the one shot. And ForJumy, he needs to rebuild. The recall is going to be used. He's going to be able to get his army out, and this has been an amazing trade for ForJumy, mind you. I mean, he's gotten rid of most of Gerald's infrastructure, and at the same time, he's kept a lot of his own. You know, he lost one base that was already mined out because Gerald didn't want to commit to that base trade. So well done by ForJumy, but he has to still be careful because Gerald is the one who has the pushing power with these Tempests.
Yep, still 14 of them on the field. Still has a good amount of disruptors also. And that is kind of the reason why we're not seeing a massive flood of Stalkers just kind of running in and blinking underneath those Tempests.
Oh, carriers got aggroed away. The carriers are going to fall, and that is it. The 10 carriers that ForJumy had are now gone. The base is going to be sniped, though, as the Stalkers find the damage that they wanted. And they're even going to be able to snipe this additional base here that Gerald was attempting to build. But ForJumy, this money, I mean, you can tell he's not sure what he wants to rebuild with. And, I mean, you got to start on something here. You got to build something. And maybe that's just a massive amount of Stalkers that you commit to on the ground. Maybe it's trying to match the Tempest count. He's going up to 6 gateways or Stargates. He can absolutely match that Tempest count. 5 of them are going to be built at a time. And it looks like that's going to be the plan. Is now massive amount of Stalkers warped in. Has, I mean, the huge advantage on the ground with 40 Stalkers.
Maybe a cheaper unit, right? That's a little bit quicker and harder to target fire down. There's not a lot of Archons here, so I don't know. Maybe that would trade more efficiently against this, because yeah, like you said, I don't think the carriers would at any point now, if you try to reproduce those, yeah, they're just gonna get one-shots over and over again, right?
Yeah. I mean, Gerald is going to start to build his own because, of course, he does have that massive Tempest count to support it. A single Archon is in the main right now of ForJumy, trying to knock away at a few of these things. Of course, the upgrade's not the most important thing. I mean, maybe armor would be nice for ForJumy, but he's not really worried about getting armor for his Stalkers at the current moment. Right now, just worried about getting these bases up. Is where I mean, this is a 30-minute PvP. There's so much riding on this for ForJumy, for Gerald. You know, Gerald, he wants to keep alive. He wants to go up 2-0. That any player would want to do that. And for ForJumy, if he can get back to 1-1 and make this group more even, then suddenly it is blown wide open. He's gonna have a shot at getting into that top 4. As once again finding a counterattack. This time with the massive amount of stalkers, is able to find this base. But I mean, not really a lot of minerals left in it. So I don't think Gerald really cares about that.
Yeah, so many 250 minerals there and 0 gas. If there is a Nexus made there, I don't know if that would be making its return on the investments. Alright, continuing the chase here are these Tempests right now. Very difficult situation. ForJumy is trying to get himself more of these Tempests out and about on the field, but yeah, even with how many Stargates is he on? 6. He can only produce out of 1 of them at a time because he just has too much of the other supply.
Oh, this is so dangerous. The blank forward. The Disruption Novas!
Wow.
As Gerald absolutely rips through that Stalker count. I mean, the Stalkers are still going to try and fight, but the Tempest will just kite them out to oblivion. That's a
ginormous amount of supply that just kind of dropped there. The bank here for the blue Protoss absolutely disappearing, melting away in front of our eyes as he manages to scramble himself back up to 160 supply overall. Yeah, it could start to get rough from here for him, even more so here.
I mean, this counterattack is, I guess, good. You're going to be able to knock down these Stargates potentially, but you're going to commit so much of the army, and then you're going to have to recall it back. 1 Stargate is going to go down. How much are you going to lose for this? Another Stargate falls. For ForJumy, he's just trying to focus it down. Recall will come through, so he's not going to lose everything, but still, what is the rebuild here for ForJumy? Like, what is it? You can't match the Tempest at this point. 14 Tempests, Gerald, he's just going to win that every single time. I mean, I guess with knocking down the Stargates, ForJumy, he just hopes that he's going to be able to match it. He hopes that he's going to be able to build more than his opponent and beat that Tempest count, but he needs time, and that's why he's saying these counterattacks once again. Zealots and Stalkers, their way.
Like, I'm trying to think, what do you think about Speed Void Race? There's the upgrade, right, to get them more speedy and such, and then maybe just so you don't allow them to keep microing backwards as much, but then you got to be wary of Archons and stuff because they will just gather up. You're still gonna get 1 shot, if not, you know, 1 triple killed, if that's a thing. I don't know. I don't know how you would call that exactly, but I know it would be a thing with this amount of Tempest shooting Void Race.
This game is just crazy, and I think again the issue for Gerald right now is that he hasn't been able to match the income of ForJumy for so long. Like, these bases have been continually getting canceled, and even though you're losing gateway units, these are cheap units for ForJumy. And he has right now a lot of aces available, and he's been just strategic recalling away his units with this mothership, which is like, you don't see people use the mothership like this, where he's just using it for additional recalls. He has his nexuses, also has the mothership. He's able to get these units out so often that he can commit in, snipe structures, he can snipe production, get bases, and that's really, I think, the only thing that's keeping him in this game right now, because he's been able to pretty much mine without any issue, and now he's suddenly up to 13 Tempests.
Exactly. Yeah, it is growing. This man is growing that number as well, and it's going to be very close to Gerald's pretty soon. Gerald's still having the 4 carriers there as padded extra armor and damage, but I'm pretty certain that's going to be added in there for ForJumy as well, or maybe he's just going to get even more Tempest.
As recall's going to come through, not really a lot of value gotten with those Stalkers. But again, the real game at this point is, can ForJumy create an army that's able to fight? And 4 more Tempests on the way. He's going to go up to 21 Tempests.
Wow.
That's his army. It's 21 Tempests, a mothership, 4 Disruptors.
It's like, all right, Gerald, you figured it out. You've converted me, all right? I'm all in. Here we go.
The Church of the Tempest. Yep. As Stalkers are getting sniped here. But at this point, it's just going to come down to 1 big battle. And I mean, it's crazy. This game has been absolutely insane at this point. We're almost mining out the entire map. There is, what, 2.5 bases on ForJumy's side of the map. I mean, Gerald has a bit more resources available just because these bases haven't been mining for as long.
Yeah, exactly. Still a bit more to gain there. And he's just been more efficient overall in the map, right? You can see in the units lost tab, it's about 4,000 extra minerals and 4,000 extra gas being thrown away by ForJumy, and that's a lot due to these counter attacks.
Here we go.
Oh my, this is the big fight, the big engagement, the reveal. Look at that. Look at
the
me.
blink
I have a lot
the
of Tempests.
They're not getting focus fired. Oh, this is bad for ForJumy. He hasn't focus fired his Tempest. He still has more though. He has to pull away. The Stalkers are still firing. Oh, this is so bad. And Gerald, he knows how to make this fight work. ForJumy, he didn't have the vision. And man, disastrous there for the blue Protoss. This felt like a game where he was so far ahead.
That was such a technical army composition from Gerald. Like the two Archons there as well. It's like, yeah, it felt like they did quite a bit there, regardless of them there only being two of them. Yeah, I wonder how much he kind of thought about like the exact units and the exact type of units that he would like to have with this final composition here.
Oh, look at this though. Counterattack ForJumy. He says, listen, I'm not even going to fight your army. I'm just going to try and go on in. Ooh, can't find the one shot before that ship battery overcharge comes through, and now this army is getting corralled. There's just not a lot of production left for ForJumy, and he's lost the air battle. And it just feels like Gerald is slowly extending this lead. As, I mean, this is only game 2. We still have another game after this, mind you.
Well,
ForJumy, though, this is the last hold.
Needs to find some way out of this predicament here. It's going to be a tough one. 50 supply behind. Make that 60-ish. No, wait, never mind. Make that 30-ish. A big whopping. It's only Zealots, however. They are not going to help out too much for the time being.
I mean, I think ForJumy, he just needs to send these Zealots to counterattack.
Yeah.
They really don't have a lot of use on the ground. He has a bunch of minerals available. Knock down these bases. You know, knock down the static defense. I feel like that's really
the base straight, right?
Yeah, that's really the only value you're going to find with these ground units.
But Gerald not really allowing that to happen either, right? Every time he notices that ForJumy is going for something like that, he backs off. He's like, all right, that's fine. I'll let you drain out your resources here in whichever way you want. I'm not going to die to this. I'm going to back up and just bide my time. Here we are. Another one of those engagements. A big disruptor shoulder to the ground forces of Gerald. And there go the Stalkers now, further inside, underneath the belly of the beast.
It's some good damage for ForJumy, actually.
Nope, that's
finding a bit of value, but the carriers are just too much, and Gerald gets a win in game 2. Absolutely insane game.
Well played, well played. Pretty insane, that one right there. Almost 40 minutes, but you know what? We were ahead of schedule, so it was absolutely fine. We're back on schedule again. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice. Just what we needed.
But yeah, that was, I mean, insane. I feel like there's a lot of chances for ForJumy in that game to win it, but just unfortunately, I don't think made the right calls. And when he had that lead, didn't push it hard enough. But Gerald, I mean, he knows what to do. He looks at that situation. He says, all right, mass Tempest, then I can transition. I just need to get up these units. They'll be able to stop you from sieging me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, yet he had such a clear vision of what kind of army he was going to go for there in the end. He didn't make a single carrier, just straight up towards those Tempest. And, you know, I've usually been of the opinion that Tempest seem a bit underwhelming to me, but that game right there, man, that really showcased why Tempest can be such a powerful combatant. Yeah,
that is, if you ever need inspiration to build Tempest in your late game PvP, there you go. That's why you should build them, of course.
Yep.
I mean, it's very reliant on the control, and Gerald controlled those Tempests wonderfully well. The focus fire, the kiting with them was just so well done. And he didn't let the carriers target them when the carriers were out, and used those oracles for vision so well. I mean, that's really what you got to do. And so, I mean, that's a wonderful showcase on how to use that unit to its maximum capacity.
Yep. Looks like both players ran out of water during that game. Have to refuel a little bit here. Which is funny because I'm pretty sure they went to get water right before that game, and now when it's done, it's like, oh, I'm out. I'm out. That took so long.
Yeah,
they drank a whole bottle's worth of water.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That was an intense one.
It was.
So we're gonna our little bit of a break right now too. Drink some water, drink up, everybody watching.
Yeah.
Before we head into game number 3. And of course, over on the main stream, guess what? Gerald and Showtime just started too. So, so much awesome StarCraft 2 content.
Nice. Man, that does sound like a cool match. But, we'll get to watch that later, Firebird. Don't worry about it. Yes. Or Titan. I don't know. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm not like, you can't use my old name.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't care about brand that much. Let's be honest.
Lovely.
I'm a college student. I don't have that time.
We'll get along just fine. Yeah. Okay. They should be back pretty soon. I just want this to go again, man. I was enthralled by that series right there. The PvP is definitely making it up for the ZVCs being a bit lackluster. Just lovely stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we'll have them back pretty soon so we can get on into the game. But yeah, I mean, again, so much rides on the line here. If ForJumy wins, again, we're looking at a group where suddenly you have Gerald, ForJumy at 1-1. You'll then have one of King Cobra and DNS at 1-1. And then either Showtime and Cyril are also going down to being 1-1. And so suddenly that entire group is blown wide open.
Yep.
And of course, Shadone versus Bly. If Bly gets the upset there, that can even be something incredible. That can have some insane indications for the rest of the group. But it all relies on this game. If Gerald wins it, then he's up to 2-0 in match score, and he's in a very comfortable position going further on in this group stages.
Exactly. Yeah. It would be incredibly nice for him, but he still has to close it out here. In the bottom right side, the red Brodels tying up the best of 3, 1-1. Needs one more victory for Sidestorm Gaming's Gerald.
Top left-hand corner. Looked like he was going to be able to get that 2-0, but unable to close out the second map. Playing for Berserker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's ForJumy.
Well,
and we're on a Cosmic Sapphire.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout as well. Yeah, definitely.
Does it go late again?
Around the map again, making sure. Are you cheesing me? There hasn't been any proxies really yet, except for, I guess, the attempted gateway at one point, and a couple of stray pylons that never really mounted to anything, of course, as well, because they were just there to hide themselves and nothing else. That was their entire objective there. But other than that, a cancelled gateway, and that's it. Both these players really sticking to the honor play, I suppose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if one of these players cheesed off the back of that, but it also is a situation where do you have the confidence to try and end a game, end a 3-game series like that?
In all honesty, Titan, I thought we would have 2 players going for proxy robo in this game.
That would have been great. That would have been great. ForJumy is hiding his pylon once again. I think Gerald has the read, though, that this probably isn't a cheese. And honestly, I feel like if you really wanted to play the 5D chess here, ForJumy has hidden a pylon 2 games out of 3. He hides the pylon again, but this time he actually uses it for something.
Yeah. Just scouting information, right? Yeah, am I right? Am I correct?
I mean,
he's gonna build something there. Are you telling me he's gonna build something here?
No, he's not. But I'm saying that could have been, the mastermind plays for ForJumy. He could have maybe done like a proxy Stargate or or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I
Gerald,
get you.
Yeah, Gerald is scouting though. He has 2 probes actually out on the map right now to scout for it. So
yeah,
he's crossing his T's, he's dotting his I's, he's just making sure that everything is going to work out nicely.
He would have been sick. Yeah, I agree. But Gerald, he's just paranoid, man. He will not stop checking. He's gonna check every corner here. And who can blame him? I mean, it's your tournament life here, you know, potentially on the line.
Yep. And I'm interested to see if we will see another game that goes into the mid to late, because this is Cosmic Sapphire. It is a map that is very large. You know, there's a lot of bases to take. There is a long rush distance with awkward angles if you're trying to kind of attack into it. And so, you know, what is going to kind of be the what is the strategy here for the players is Gerald, ooh, that probe. He's gonna run away and eventually give up his life for ire, as those 2 probes do end up falling. Interestingly enough, it is going to be a Stargate here for Gerald, and he's walling off back at home, so he's just kind of, he's just going to commit to this pressure and try and find as much damage as possible. The Stalker comes on in, shield battery, going to be able to heal up these units, so doesn't really end up finding that much value. And I think this is quite a big delay here for Gerald. You know, he delayed his Nexus in order to get this Oracle, and it's just been scouted. Hallucination goes across the map, it's been scouted. This is potentially a pretty disastrous start here for Gerald.
Yeah, ForJumy seems to be up to some more conniving plans over here. With a little probe. I don't know actually if he's going to do something with that. I assume so. It's not really the time for a probe to be there anymore, just to re-scout something. But we'll see. He's not putting down a pylon either. I thought it might have been like a dark shrine place or something like that, but it's way too late for that now, right?
Yeah, it might just be the gateway, because right now we have Blink on the way. So this feels like ForJumy, like in game 2, where he went for that dark shrine and then bailed out of it. You know, this kind of feels like that, where he's gonna be doing that, except he's not gonna go for that weird dark shrine and then say, actually, I don't want to do that, and waste some time and minerals. Instead, he's just gonna go straight for this gate, for these additional gateways. He's gonna look for the Blink Stalker pressure, and right now he's gonna be doing it off of a higher worker count. And especially he's going to be doing it against a Stargate opening where it's been scouted, and so he's been able to stop these Oracles from really finding much of any damage at all.
Ooh, Adept's also coming in. This could be a lot of damage quite quickly, if not handled perfectly well by Jumy.
Oh, he's handled it so well, though.
Yeah, 4 probes. It's not that much, considering what just went into the base there.
Yeah, that's very, very well done by ForJumy. I mean, he manages to only take 4 probes worth of damage. Hallucinated Phoenix is going to come in just to make sure he knows where the Oracles are, and now you have a lot of Stalkers here that are going to start to make their way across the map. This is going to be with Blink. This is going to be with additional Warpins that can come in, and it's with a Gerald who's taking a 3rd base. Of course, ForJumy placing down his own 3rd at the same time as these Oracles. Yep, got to be careful. Going to try and dive back on into the main now, though, and double Pulsar Beams can just one-shot those probes. So this is the damage that Gerald was looking for. Finds 5. Doesn't even lose the Oracle, but the 3rd base is going to be delayed. There's no way that Gerald holds this. He has to just back on off. He does not have the Stalker count to hold on to this base.
He does have Blink now as well, but yeah, you're right. It would have been too tough a cookie to try and crumble there. Let's see if he can hold on. I'm pretty sure he will be okay with his shield battery here. Shouldn't be too much of a battle for him there. But it's just rough. Having that 3rd base, as you said, delayed could just mean absolute disaster, regardless of him being able to finally get some of those probe kills here going. Right? 10 probe kills, sure, that's lovely, but ultimately, ForJumy's still ahead on probes, and he's got that 3rd base done now.
Yeah, I think that's the big news, is this 4th base, or this 3rd base here for ForJumy. I mean, he has charge on the way. He's been able to keep pressure up with these Blink Stalkers. And so that's a much bigger loss than any worker count that he has lost, because he stopped his 3rd base. It's been 3 pro production for so long here for ForJumy, and he's just, I mean, he's a happy camper right now with a Forge on the way, additional Gateway 2. And again, this is a game that's looking like in the mid game, ForJumy looking solid. It's looking like he's got a solid grasp of where he needs to be, what he needs to hit, what timings he's going for. Now it's just a question of, can you propel that into a victory?
Yep. Yeah, exactly, because that was kind of the problem in the last game, wasn't it? Where just his unit composition didn't quite manage to match up to the level of Gerald. Gerald just a bit more prepared, it feels like, in that very, very late game PvP. But getting there, it felt like ForJumy perhaps was a bit more in a place of comfort there. So yeah, it's very, very cool to see them once again here going along the same kind of track, and we'll get to see whether or not it's going to have any other turns in direction this time around.
This sword going down, Gerald going to try and deny that 4th base, but ForJumy is just taking it actually in the other position. As Templar Archives on the way for the Archons, Warp Prism as well, Charge is here, Blink is here, +1 on the way. ForJumy again going for this ground pound army. This time he's not transitioning into those disruptors. He's not going to go into that super quick. Instead, he's going to just try and find as much damage as possible. And right now, he's up about 20 army supply on his opponent. He's going to have fast warp-ins as well across the map. The only difference is going to be that +1, and that can, of course, be a pretty... I mean, that can make or break a fight. But it all comes down to the engagement and the angle that ForJumy takes. He has Archons here.
Oh dear. Yeah, this could be quite upsetting. A couple of stasis wards are available, and that could ruin this push as well if ForJumy is uncareful. Here comes, there's a disruptor there, another professional ruiner of days. ForJumy being rather careful for the time being is gonna, yeah, get some of his units caught right there, but not a tremendous amount just quite yet. Only 2 zealots there. So, you know,
yeah.
Yeah. You should be able to just walk away. I don't know. What do you think? You think you should just walk away from here?
Oh, Gerald. Yeah, steps a bit too far forward. Needs to blink back with those Stalkers. Steps the Disruptor Shot back into it. And ForJumy just taking this fight. Gerald, he knew. He had to keep the 3rd alive. He had to try and fight this. But this was just not the position to do it. ForJumy, he's going to push forward. He's going to get the 3rd. He's going to get the natural. And that means that Gerald, he is not going to be able to win this series. He is not going to be able to go up 2-0 in the group, even with that Disruption Nova being so good. I mean, ForJumy, this mid-game is just so clean.
The Warp Prism there really helping out as well, bringing in those Stalkers ever so quickly, and this area here is just being absolutely overwhelmed. GG, all capitalized, being called there from Gerald, a good sportsman once again here, making his